MyCole is now their Cole, Pittsburgh's Cole. Oh God, that was terrible. Welcome everybody to JG9 News, where we talk all things NFL all the time. I'm Jawagaro9, representing the 904 from the 602, and today we are talking about a move that this team behind me right here made earlier this week. They signed a 32-year-old veteran tight end, MyCole Pruitt. I talked about another move that the Steelers made on the roster standpoint. They released running back Alfonso Graham. Go check that video out if you haven't already. I'll leave a link in the upper right corner and a link in the description. I broke down what that means for not just Graham, but what it means for the Steelers going into the offseason and minicamp and training camp and the 90-man roster, what that means for that. Having said that, the Steelers did make an addition by signing the tight end MyCole Pruitt, who is now entering his 10th season in the NFL. Last season played for the Atlanta Falcons, played in all 17 games, 9 catches, 110 yards, and a touchdown. He started 8 of them, so he started roughly half those games. Over his career, 109 games played, 71 catches, 748 yards, and 12 touchdowns. The man was drafted in 2015. He has spent time with the Vikings, the Bears, the Texans, the Titans, and the Falcons, and now the Pittsburgh Steelers, playing on his 6th team in 10 seasons. This is definitely not his first rodeo. And a big reason why the Steelers signed MyCole Pruitt has to be Arthur Smith. He knows Arthur Smith extremely well. It seems like everywhere that Arthur Smith goes, Pruitt follows. MyCole Pruitt played for the Titans from 2018 to 2021. In 2018, Arthur Smith was the tight ends coach of the Titans. In 2019 and 2020, when Matt LaFleur left the team to take the head coaching job of the Green Bay Packers, Arthur Smith got promoted to the offensive coordinator spot, so there's obvious connection there. And with the Atlanta Falcons, Pruitt played there in 2022 and 2023. Smith was the head coach there. So again, wherever he goes, Pruitt goes. Having said that, though, I'm just not sure where MyCole Pruitt fits on this team. I'm not sure where he fits on the 53-man roster when all is said and done. Pat Freiermuth is making the roster. He's the number 1 tight end on the Steelers. This is going to be his fourth season in the NFL. He's on a rookie contract. When healthy, he is really good. Last year, 32 catches, 308 yards, 2 touchdowns. Didn't miss some time, but again, when healthy, he's one of the better tight ends in football. Darnell Washington is making the roster as well. He was the Steelers' 3rd-round pick from 2023. You're not cutting bait with a 3rd-rounder from a year ago with the same regime. He played in every single game for the team. He did decent as a pass blocker last year. He's merely a blocking option. Didn't do a whole lot in the receiving game, but as a blocker in the passing game, he was fine. And again, he's entering his 2nd season. A lot of potential there, a lot of upside there, especially because a lot of people thought that Washington was going to go in the 2nd round, and the Steelers maybe got a steal, according to a lot of the draft experts. So you're not giving up on him for 1 year, especially at a tight end position, which is always hard for rookies. And then you figure Connor Hayward is also making the roster. He started 7 games last season. He's super young. This is going to be his 3rd season in the league. He's just 25 years old, and he has versatility as a fullback. You can line him up anywhere and everywhere, and that's big. He gets the nod over Pruitt for that reason. Yes, Pruitt can be used as an H-back, I guess, but Hayward is better, and Hayward is younger. Hayward is a bit more versatile. On top of that, look at the Steelers' history with the 53-man roster, the initial 53. Now, in 2023, the Steelers kept 3 tight ends on the 53 to start the year off. Pat Freiermuth, Darnell Washington, and Connor Hayward. We're going to go down the line. You're going to see just how insane this is. Because again, Mike Tomlin's been the head coach of the Steelers since 2007. He has been the head coach for nearly 2 decades now. There is a vast sample size, a very large sample size, in terms of how he likes to construct this roster. Doesn't matter who the offensive coordinator is. He likes keeping the same number of tight ends on the roster every single year, as we are about to find out. So again, 2023, Freiermuth, Washington, and Hayward. 2022, you had Pat Freiermuth, Zach Gentry, and Connor Hayward. That's 3 tight ends on the initial 53-man roster. You have 3 tight ends in 2021, Pat Freiermuth, Eric Ebron, and Zach Gentry. In 2020, you had 3 tight ends, Vance McDonald, Eric Ebron, and Zach Gentry. In 2019, once again, 3 tight ends, Vance McDonald, Xavier Grimble, and Zach Gentry. In 2018, 3 tight ends, Jesse James, Xavier Grimble, and Vance McDonald. 2017, you guessed it, 3 tight ends, Jesse James, Xavier Grimble, Vance McDonald. Same thing as 2018. In 2016, you guessed it, 3 tight ends, Jesse James, David Johnson, Xavier Grimble. 2015, 3 tight ends, Heath Miller, Matt Spaeth, Jesse James. 2014, you guessed it, 3 tight ends on the initial 53-man roster, Heath Miller, Michael Palmer, Matt Spaeth. 2013, 3 tight ends on the initial 53-man roster. I'm not counting guys who start the season on the physically unable to perform list or IR, but you had 3 tight ends on the 53, not counting those guys. David Paulson, Matt Spaeth, and Michael Palmer. Heath Miller was on the 53-man roster at the start, but he was placed on IR PUP. He was not able to go in week 1, so not counting him. It's only guys that are on the 53-man roster and are healthy and are going to be transferred to a different part of the roster. 2012, 3 tight ends. Heath Miller, Leonard Pope, David Paulson. 2011, 3 tight ends. Heath Miller, David Johnson, Wesley Saunders. 2010, 3 tight ends. Heath Miller, David Johnson, Matt Spaeth. 2009, 3 tight ends. Heath Miller, Matt Spaeth, Sean McHugh. So we're going back to the Obama administration, the very start of the Obama administration with this. I just looked at the last 15 seasons, and the Steelers in all 15 of those seasons, with Mike Tomlin as the head coach, never kept more than 3 guys on the 53-man roster, excluding guys who made it and immediately reverted to injured reserve or the PUP list, the physically unable to perform list. They've got 3 tight ends ahead of MyCole Pruitt. Pat Freiermuth, Darnell Washington, Connor Hayward. I get why an undrafted rookie would sign with Pittsburgh as a tight end. You could latch on the practice squad potentially. You don't really have a lot of options if you are an undrafted free agent. If you're a certain kind of undrafted free agent, you can't really pick and choose your destination. Just got to go with whoever wants you. MyCole Pruitt is an established veteran in this league. He probably would make it on quite a few rosters as a backup tight end. He did start a lot of games last season, relatively speaking. So why he would sign with the Steelers? Again, I get that Arthur Smith is there, but based on Pittsburgh's roster history, it's going to take an injury or a complete change in what we've seen with precedent for MyCole Pruitt to make this team, which, again, I'm just baffled why he would sign with Pittsburgh and not wait until after the draft to see what teams need help at tight end because they missed on a guy. Because there's always a few teams like that. There's always a few teams that they're going to address this position at the draft. They miss out on it because the board doesn't work out that way, or they get snubbed. There are players that they really like that go ahead of them, and they don't want to waste a pick on a player that they're not really crazy about just because it fills positional need, so they look to plan B. MyCole Pruitt could have been that guy for some teams who need a third-string tight end, and he's not going to be that guy in Pittsburgh. He just is not making the roster unless he just really likes Arthur Smith so much that he's there for camp for a month, and that's it, and he just really wants to enjoy camp with Arthur Smith. But I just don't get this move from Pruitt's perspective. I would have waited until after the draft to see what the market is. Because, again, it's not like the Steelers. It's not like Arthur Smith. If you can't find a destination, it's not like they're going to say no. Arthur Smith is clearly very interested in you. He played you a lot in Atlanta. He played you a lot in Tennessee. If you're still a free agent, what difference does it make if you're a free agent in the first week of April or the first week of May if you're an established veteran tight end like he is, and you have been playing under Arthur Smith's system for years? Obviously, he's going to want you. He's going to want you to be on the 90-man roster at least. So I don't get why you would sign now and not in a month, let's say, when teams might have a need at tight end. Because even though there is the connection between MyCole Pruitt and Arthur Smith, I just can't see how MyCole Pruitt makes this roster, considering the fact that the Steelers don't keep more than 3 tight ends on the roster. Doesn't matter who the offense coordinator is. Mike Tomlin has a very set way of designing his roster. And unless that changes, MyCole Pruitt, I think he signed a bit too soon. I don't get this move on the part of him. I get this move for the Steelers. It's a great move for Pittsburgh. You have 3 tight ends on rookie contracts. MyCole Pruitt knows the system. You can teach the system, but I don't get this move on Pruitt's part necessarily. But what are your thoughts on this signing for the Steelers? Do you think MyCole Pruitt makes the team? How do you think the Steelers' depth chart at tight end stacks up? Do you think that MyCole Pruitt is the 3rd-string tight end? Do you think he goes up to the 2nd-string tight end? What are your thoughts on Arthur Smith as the offensive coordinator of the Pittsburgh Steelers now? What are your thoughts on his stint with the Atlanta Falcons that was so disastrous that now he's in Pittsburgh as their OC? Let me know all your thoughts on everything in the comments down below. And that's going to do it for this episode of JG9 News. Be sure you like and subscribe. Helps the channel out a lot. And be sure to check my main channel, JaguarGator9, where we talk all things NFL history all the time. Until next time, this is JaguarGator9 signing off. And as always, go Jags.